Hey there, everyone. How are you doing today? August 1st. Yes, I thoroughly enjoy these question and answer sessions. I know we didn't hit our 150 goal. Thumbs up. Part of that's on me, right? Don't ask for it a lot. We ramped, from 100 to 150 and very quickly. So I take a lot of that on me. We'll see. We'll see what kind of challenge I want to put out next week. But I thoroughly enjoy these. So hey, it's my time. I want to make the decision to keep doing them, so we will. So, all right. So again, 2 pages of notes. Before I get started, let people join. I do want to ask if you had a chance to maybe check out some of the book report reviews. I actually created a playlist because we got so many reports. And what I did is I did sort of 3 to 4 minute videos summarizing each child's book report. To get them to see that I appreciated their time, but it's going to take me a day or so to kind of pick a winner. So if you have time, could you take a look at a few of those and let me know which ones you liked? I think the youngest was a 6-year-old who did a tremendous job kind of drawing us pictures. I thought her sister, a 9-year-old, did a fantastic job handwriting her report. We had some 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds. We had a 16-year-old do a full-on white, not whiteboard, but whatever that is, poster board, which was pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, I have a full stack of reports, and I actually have a couple more to print out today that came in just under the wire. So, yes, unfortunately, you're going to get a couple more book report videos today. I hope you don't mind. I know the notifications may bug you, but we have to celebrate each child's effort, in my opinion. And again, I'm going to give each child something. We will have 3 winners, but I'm going to give away a lot of money and really appreciate them. So if you have a chance, take a look, leave some comments, like this one. If you don't like it, don't leave a comment. That's not cool. You got to remember the kids could see this, so let's not blow up any bubbles and be rude. But yeah, all right, okay. So on to some questions. Wow, we only got 6 people joining. Wow, that's different, but that's okay. So the first one is, what if eviction moratoriums get extended? Well, I'm operating under the premise that they will be extended, but you have to be careful what that means. I think the verbiage in the CARES Act, which expired yesterday, will get extended. So what is that? Well, that is if your loans are backed by the government, which I think I remember somewhere it's only like 30% of all mortgages. So you got to remember the eviction moratorium is on a very small subset of loans. Private lenders and conventional lenders don't have that. So there may be political noise about eviction moratoriums from the lender perspective, basically the government perspective. I do not anticipate others going that direction. Then you step back down to the state, and I am in California, and I fully anticipate the person that runs our state. I don't like him, but he will likely do what he always does and do something that doesn't make sense. So I'm anticipating this is going to continue. If I had to guess, this has to end at some point, or lots of mom and pop landlords are going to be out of business, which is going to hurt tenants and the state. So yeah, I think it's going to be extended. I'm hopeful that it doesn't go past August, maybe September. I just did a video. I think it was yesterday or the day before. I have $25,000 in back rent, delinquent rent. Most of that from a handful of folks who are two of them are just playing a game, and I'm gonna, yeah, two of them are playing games. I expect it to get worse. I do, which I really think is funny. Good old Gavin Newsom could tell tenants not to pay rent, but I still have to pay my property taxes. No, you can't collect insurance. No. Troy asked if a tenant doesn't pay, can you collect insurance? No. That's not, at least I don't know of an insurance policy. I guess there's always something out there, but that wouldn't be cheap. So I expect it to continue. Hopefully, if you watch that video, it needs to be about communication between the tenant and the landlord. It can't be some overarching regulation, because that just doesn't work long term. And believe me, we're already at long term, right? This is, I think I have two tenants that are down 5 months, which means they could get theoretically 8 to 9 months of free rent. And believe me, these two people are never going to pay. They're going to ghost me. They're going to get up right up to the last day. The sheriff's going to show up and they're just going to be gone. That's not okay. But that's what's going to happen in that case. So it's interesting. I had somebody send me a deal in a comment and said, "What do you think of this deal?" And it'll be interesting. I think most of you will know my answer, but let me run through the details. So hey, this person is basically really excited. Hey, I just found a deal. I found a $650,000 house for 600 grand. So they think they got a $50,000 deal. I can get a 5% down owner financed loan at 2.99%, by saying I'm going to live there. My mortgage payment will be $2,400 and I can collect $2,800 in rent. What do you think? FYI, the market is hot. It's a hot California market. Well, I have lots of thoughts. First off, seems like you are going after a wedge deal, which some YouTube folks out there like to talk about. Hopefully everybody knows, I think wedge deals are risky because, again, it's about cash flow. How did we retire financially free? We didn't do it by doing $50,000 wedge deals, right? We did it with cash flow that survives in up and down markets. Second, this almost cavalier attitude, again, it's a comment, right? So I can't really tell, but it seems like you are willing to lie on your loan application that you're going to live there to get the 2.99% loan. And based on your comments, you have no intention of doing that. That goes against every fiber of my being. You need, in my opinion, back to the video I did yesterday, karma will get you. And I don't think you lie on loan applications. That's fraud. Now, will you get away with it? I don't know. Chances are probably pretty good, but I would never do that. I would never recommend anybody lie on a loan application. That is fraud. And then lastly, your mortgage payment's $2,400 and you think you can get $2,800. And by your comments, it sounds like you think you're going to get $400 a month positive. That $400 goes away in a heartbeat. You're already negative cash flow. You already are buying an alligator just with property tax and insurance, let alone property management, capital improvements, all of that. Not good. Not good. So there's nothing about this deal I like. Nothing. There's nothing I like about this deal. Yeah, I can't find anything about this deal I like. So I replied in my normal, direct way, and they didn't like my answer. They wanted to celebrate finding a $50,000 deal, which, oh, by the way, they're telling me the real estate agent said that. I mean, they didn't even run their own comps. I mean, there's just nothing about this deal I like. So, yeah, nothing in this deal I like. Oh, here's a fun one. Actually, we'll do this one first. When will opportunities arise in California? So there are lots of people that have been hearing my videos about the Bay Area and Southern California being in trouble, right? With the exit of tech workers and high taxes and all of those things. Many of them are acting like this is the stock market. And that's not how real estate operates. It doesn't go up and down quickly, right? It's a trend. It rolls over. It happens over quarters, if not years. I don't expect any real deals in the Silicon Valley, which I know the best, probably for a year or maybe 18 months. It is already unaffordable. We are already seeing an exit. But right now, given the supply is so low, there's still enough demand to buy what's coming up. But that won't always be the way. So I think deals, if you want to call them that, in the Bay Area are at least a year, if not 18 months away. I do expect the Bay Area's prices to fall, but again, not this year. Late next year, maybe 2022, somewhere in there. Here's one. Again, I think if you watch this channel with me long enough, you'll know my answer, but we'll go through the question anyway. It's, hey, I live in the Silicon Valley just like you. Can we meet and do one-on-one mentoring? I will pay you. Okay, thank you. That's very nice of you. But I do not do one-on-one mentoring for lots of reasons. First and foremost, I don't have any interest in only helping a couple of people. That means nothing to me. Even if you're going to pay $1,000 an hour or whatever it is, that doesn't interest me. I want to put together something that can help the masses. Hence, I spend a lot of time adding value to the 199 course. I talk to that team, the students, every week. We have our private Facebook group, which is growing and getting more interactive, which I appreciate a lot. So that's what I do. So I politely decline. I will not do one-on-one mentoring, even if you live in the city of Mountain View, which is where I live. I will. I just won't do it. It doesn't fill my cup. It doesn't. There's nothing about one-on-one mentoring that that I want to do. Sorry. Define over leverage, or what do you mean avoid over leverage? So I got that question a couple of different times. So first off, this comes from my experience explained in my book, and it actually happened to me at a refinance. So I was doing fairly well buying conservatively and having real cash flow, although the real cash flow was never what my Excel spreadsheet said, but I still had positive cash flow. And then I go refinance that first house, and completely my mistake, completely being naive, 100% my problem. I took the maximum cash out from my refinance. I don't remember the exact numbers, but essentially my rent was $1,100 and my payment was $1,100. And remember, I still have property taxes, insurance, property insurance, taxes, in property management, insurance, taxes, plus reserve for bad debt, expenses, maintenance, all of that. So hence the alligator, right? The no alligator thing. So what do I consider over leverage? I consider over leverage being anything that makes cash flow get skinny. So it's hard to say raw numbers, right? Would I do a 90% loan? Yeah, if the cash flow is there. I bought an entire building 0% down because I know I would get cash flow. So people are asking me for what percentages, and that depends on the deal. In this market, if you're buying directly out of the MLS and learning your market like I talk about, you're probably going to have to put 30% down. But that doesn't always hold. The market changes. So I consider over leverage anything that would produce almost, you think of it as break even. Anything that produces break even cash flow is not something I support. I want to pay my bills out of cash flow. So anything that gets close to zero is not good. So that's what I mean by over leverage. Hopefully that makes sense. What can I expect from your course? So good news is people are starting to look at the course more and more. That's awesome. I appreciate of that. I think it's pretty simple. Um, what I'm gonna give you in the course is focus. I'm gonna have you do some execute real work, so you'll be making progress. I'm going to teach you a skill in how to learn a market, right? What is good, bad, and great. And most importantly, I'm going to give you confidence. That's what my course gives you. Is I take people who are struggling, that don't understand what a deal is, and I give them confidence. And I do all of that for less than $200. I also give you my time in the private Facebook group and things of that nature. That's something that I'm going to be known for, I think, in decades to come, is the course. And don't believe me, check out the students. There's a playlist. I've interviewed a few. Love to interview more, but it makes a difference. And again, I think a lot of investors are confident. And don't forget, I'm telling everyone that this is a very risky market for real estate investors. If you're like me and you have a full-time job and you're relying on the MLS, it's tough out there. So go build confidence, get ready for next year. And like yesterday's mentoring session, thank you, Troy. The course is one of the best things you bought. That's very nice of you. Like the mentoring session yesterday. And if it's not clear, those that couple, husband and wife, what were their names? I don't remember their names. I have a terrible memory. I don't remember their names. But basically, they reached out to me and they just asked for help. They're actually not students. They just wanted some mentoring. I promise you, would benefit both of them is taking the course, because he is stuck, feeling like he's frustrated. He doesn't have a deal. He's not moving. She's nervous that he's going to make a risky investment. I don't know that I said it, but I was thinking the whole time he needs to sign up for the course so he feels like he's taking positive steps forward. And then he could talk to her about deals. But I didn't take that mentoring call to sell the course, but that was the right answer. But in the end, we'll see what he does. Hopefully that video helps others. That's why I do these free things, is just to help more and more folks. Next up, how do you choose a property manager? That's a great question. I wish there was a lie detector test or some kind of DNA test to find the good ones. But for me, what I found after firing 6 or 7 property managers is I want the owner to be an investor. I want them to own units. That's a big deal to me. I don't mean this to sound negative, but I was burned twice when the owner was a real estate agent or a real estate broker. They basically, in my opinion, not all of them, many of them treat it as a way to keep the lights on. They treat it as a lead source. And it works great lots of times. But when the real estate market gets hot, let's just say their focus goes to commission and not property management. That is what I have seen to be the best. The other thing is I would test them, right? Too many people ask questions about how do you evict tenants or how do you get bad tenants out. I actually would challenge a property manager with reverse questions, because how do you get a tenant out is documented by law. You can look it up. I want you to tell me, how do you save or how do you keep great tenants? What is your program to keep great tenants? Do you give them a gift card at year Lisa? Do you offer carpet cleaning or whatever? You need to learn with being a landlord that property turns are what kill you. It's what crushes cash flow. You could have one property turn in a fourplex and lose all of your cash flow for the year. So the game needs to be, how do you keep great tenants, not how do you get rid of bad tenants, my opinion. So those are the questions I would be asking. What percent do you allocate to mortgage, repairs, and still expect cash flow? These are all just rules of thumb. At this point, I can evaluate a deal pretty quickly. Usually I do this on owner finance deals because, again, I'm being creative. I don't even talk interest rate when I do owner finance deals. Basically, when I'm communicating to an owner that is thinking about lending to me, this is what I tell them in a nutshell. I need to keep the mortgage payment below 50% because I'm going to spend 40% operating the building, the house, the duplex, and I need a cushion of 10%. Now that's very big, that's swag, but that's how I treat that conversation. Ideally, I want the mortgage payment to be under 40%, operating expenses and all of that at 40, and then in cash flow. But so that's how I treat that question. I would like it to be 40, 40, 20. Mortgage payment, everything else, and then my profit. I'll answer that question, Josh. Is it good to diversify property management? It depends on where you are in your path. Typically, as we were growing, we used our growing portfolio to get a discount with one property manager. It's hard to do that, or it takes longer if you divide. We did get to a point where I think it was when we got to 80 doors, we added a second property manager. And we ran with two property management teams, almost split 50-50 for 5 years. Then the real estate market turned. One team, again, a real estate broker, decided that he would rather make commission than be a good property manager. So we are now with one team. So that's how we operated. We chose in the beginning to get a discount with units, right? More units, lower price. Then we got to a point where it was risky to be at one shop. We divided. Then we got lack of service, and we were big enough where we have a single point of contact at the other property firm. So we went back to one. That's how we did that, Josh. You can ask for a discount as soon as you have 2 units. It depends on the property manager. You can ask anytime. I think we asked when we got to 4. But as soon as you get 2, ask. What does it hurt? Somebody asked, what does this logo on my hat mean? I think we all know. That's that. That's that. The reason I created this is I wanted something to represent one house, one rental at a time. This is a house and a plus. So the logo way back when, now going on 2 years, is meant to just simply remind you that one rental at a time is okay. I don't know if you've noticed on the book, hopefully you have, right? Big purple house and then lots of little gray ones, or like light purple. This is meant to be one at a time. One. That's, I don't know. Corny, good idea, I don't know, but that's what the logo means. Yeah. Wear it and remember, one rental at a time works. Question from JC, was I legally obligated to replace the roof mount AC for my tenant? In the city of Fresno, you have to have cooling. So did I have to replace the roof mount AC? No, I had to provide cooling. It gets to be 100 degrees for the entire month of July and August in Fresno. So I had to provide cooling. Did it have to be the roof mount? No. But I had to provide cooling. All right, let's get back to the list. Do you depreciate your properties? Yes, I depreciate my properties. When? That starts the day I buy them. And is it worth it? Absolutely. Sometimes I get questions and I don't understand the question behind the question. Yeah, depreciation is one of the benefits of being a real estate investor is you get to use depreciation, which is a non-cash expense that allows you to have more cash to play with. Um, so, yeah, I don't understand the question. So maybe if you're watching and you have a question behind the question, you can let me know. Um, do I have an exit strategy for my portfolio? Absolutely. Death works. But in all seriousness, assuming I live to be as old as I hope I am, my suspicion is over the last 20 years of our life, we will sell off the bottom half of our portfolio. We will do owner financing perhaps on the next 25 to 30%. And then we will leave the 20% best to our daughter so she has nothing to worry about the rest of her life. That is the current plan. But if you've read our book, remember, if the real estate market gets nutty, I am not opposed to selling. For example, if Fresno single family home prices double in the next 2 to 3 years and rent stays flat, we will sell every single family home we own and not think twice. I look at my market every day. I may have long range plans, but I am not opposed to selling what is expensive. Right? Sell what's expensive, buy what's cheap. And sometimes that means sitting on cash. It's just how it is. Uh, Ever bought a property with creative financing? Uh, I'll treat that in two ways. Sometimes people say creative financing and they think subject to lease option, things of that nature, wraps. Never done that. Never done those. I think they'll be very popular next year and maybe the year after. Certainly a skill or experience I need to add to my bag of tricks. Um, so something I will do. If you mean by owner financing, if you mean creative financing is owner financing, yes, I've done somewhere between 12 and 20 owner finance transactions over the last 20 years. If that's what you mean by creative financing, yes, I've done those. Probably do a couple a year now, especially from frustrated landlords who want out. That's my most common thing with them is to do owner financing so they save on taxes, they still get cash flow, and I get a good deal. There was a question that popped up. Am I testing my portfolio? Yeah, I have a triplex that I'm selling. It's in escrow. I put it about 10% above where I think it's worth, and it's in escrow at a price slightly below that. Happy to sell it, put six figures in the bank. If it doesn't go through, no harm, no foul. It cash flows just fine. So yeah, we took one of our problem properties and threw it on the market today to see what would happen, and it went into escrow. I think we had 5 offers in a week. We let them do inspections and walkthroughs before we picked the one we wanted. So that took about 2 weeks to schedule and do all of that. But yeah, we've been in escrow, I think 2 weeks now, maybe 2.5 weeks. So we'll see. We'll see if it closes. So yeah, I'm not opposed to testing it. What kind of app is needed for real estate investors? Um, I don't. I don't know. I don't use a lot of apps. Um, just to close on that topic, no, that was not the triplex with the bogus appraisal. No, the triplex is no. I don't think we've had it. I think we're getting an appraisal next week. No. What kind of apps are needed for real estate investors? No idea. I think when you think real estate investors, you need to be more specific. These are two open-ended questions. Real estate investors, you need to be more specific, right? Are you talking about wholesalers that are looking for owners? Are you looking for buy and hold investors who need to manage their expenses? Are you looking for flippers that need to attract private money? When people talk about doing something for the big bucket of real estate investors, that's too generic. That's too big. So what I would tell you is you need to be more focused. If you're looking to develop an app, which based on this guy's username, he's a developer, you need to be more specific with your questions. And then maybe I can provide an answer or an opinion. Is it better to buy turnkey or buy cheap? That depends on time, money, experience, location. Again, when you think turnkey, you need to evaluate the provider first. I think too many people look at syndications and turnkey and look at the deal. That is the wrong strategy. You need to evaluate the general partner or the operator, because it doesn't matter how good the deal is on paper. If the operator gives you any misgivings, you need to run away. Too many people look at the deal, the fancy glossy, the Excel spreadsheet, which you have no means of validating. That's wrong. You need to evaluate the turnkey provider or the syndicator first, then the market, then the deal. Most people I see look at the deal first, then the market, then the operator. That is ass backwards. Don't do it. As for what to buy, turnkey or cheap, all I got to tell you is learn your market, run the numbers. I could tell you, I talked about it in my book, that my situation way back in 2003, 4, and 5, I should have bought cleaner. I bought junk, and it caused us to grow slower because I didn't appreciate my cash. Does one rental at a time work outside the US? This person was from Canada. Yeah, one rental at a time is a mindset. It talks about looking at learning your market. Conservative, live below your means. There's nothing in the one rental at a time book, story, whatever, that is US specific. I've actually had, just in the last couple of weeks, some students sign up from countries outside the US. So yeah, one rental at a time is not a US specific. I don't have any details or experience, just to be clear, outside the US, but I've talked to enough real estate groups and meetups that it certainly works. Yes, the financing is different in Canada for sure. But yeah, the mindset, the strategies, all of that, it applies everywhere there's rental housing. Somebody wanted me to show the 3 hats, which I don't think I've done. So here you go. I don't know why. 3 hats: purple on purple, gray purple, and black on purple. And again, remember, the hats are supposed to remind you that one rental at a time is okay. There you go. I remember black on purple. There you go. Black on purple. People on the channel love to remind me when I'm wrong. So I like that. That's fun. That's why I do this. You're never right all the time. I got a question. Where is the tech wreck that you have been talking about for a while? Well, first off, thank you. I'm wrong all the time. Never believe me about stocks. I own no stocks, so why would you? But I can tell you that the tech wreck is actually occurring. It's happening inside sales forecasts. It is happening inside sales organizations, market organizations right now. It is, you can't look at the big 5, which 4 of them reported the other day and crushed it, and think that's technology. Amazon, Alphabet / Google, Facebook, Apple, you may think of them as tech companies. That's not what I'm referring to, right? I'm talking enterprise applications. Now, there are certainly areas that are crushing it. If you're in security today or workflow, crushing it. But there's a lot of enterprise software that is in trouble. People that sold B2B kind of mid-market, toast. People that sold to universities, toast. There's a lot more pain happening in enterprise software today than is known, because the big deal kind of legacy licensing has changed to more term, and just wait, it's happening. But just because you have 5 stocks and you have a couple of $1 trillion companies, don't think those equal tech, right? Is Amazon a tech company? Well, they have a cloud division, AWS, but they made $10 a share because of retail. Is Apple tech, or is it a consumer-driven company? Is Facebook and Google tech, or are they ad companies? You know, let's at least have a real conversation. So, in the end, some of you are so fun. There was a bad word here, but here we go. Why the heck do you invest in California? Part of the answer is I've lived here my entire life, nearly 50 years. I started way back in '02. I have a team. I know the market. I was lucky enough to choose a market where you can still live on 60 grand a year. People don't really realize that if you make $60,000 a year in Fresno, California, you can live in a nice home in a nice area. This is not the Bay Area where it's $2 million, 2.2 to buy a house in Palo Alto. That's unaffordable. I would never invest in that market. That said, Fresno suffers a lot of California ills. California is a red city in a blue state. So Fresno, again, is a red city in a blue state. So when rent control adopts for the state, it gets impacted. But thankfully, the blue state implements rent control for the big cities, and it really doesn't impact Fresno. For example, rent control was adopted this year by our lovely governor, who I despise because he did it after we said no on the ballot, and I'll never forgive him for that. Rent control said, I think it's 5% maximum plus inflation. So if you're running a good business in Fresno, you're never going to raise rents more than 5 or 8% any given year. So it doesn't impact me. So in the end, I picked California. I have no intention of leaving. Another question somewhere along the lines, could it ever get bad enough to leave? Sure, it could. It absolutely could. I don't think we're close to that yet, but it could. Is it dangerous to invest in California? I mean, California is a tenant-friendly state, no question. Honestly, I don't think it's any more dangerous than any other state. There's just things you need to appreciate. Let's not forget that California, unlike other markets, has a real estate cycle. Think boom bust, right? It is that boom bust cycle that allowed me to collect a collection of assets to retire financially free in 15 years. If I was in a market like this, I'd probably have 15, maybe 20 houses by now. I don't think I'd be retired. It was the ability to learn my market and dance between the raindrops that allowed me to build a nice portfolio and retire. So I appreciate California for what it is. Is it hard to be a landlord in California? Yeah. I mean, look at the video yesterday. I'm losing $25,000 because of it. So it's tough. There was a question that popped up. I'll answer quickly. Do you believe in good debt for real estate? Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. What is Prop 13 is repealed? So, for those of you that don't know what Prop 13 is, it's something that California instituted years ago. I think it was the 70s, might be the 80s, where our property taxes are based on purchase price with a very small increment each year. This allows teachers to live in Palo Alto and not be forced out of their house. And I use Palo Alto because it's ridiculously expensive, right? Palo Alto's average home today is $2.2 million and it's a 1950 ranch. It's terrible. But if you're a teacher and you bought it in 1960 or 1970, like my parents did, you can still afford it because your property tax bill is $300 a month or $300 a year, where your neighbors could be $30,000 a year. So if they repeal Prop 13, my portfolio, which a lot of it was bought at the depth of the recession in 2010, there will be an impact for sure. I believe Prop 13 is going to be repealed in segments. First, on the ballot this year, they're going to go after commercial. Think Disneyland. They're going to get hammered. So that's going to happen. Then I believe they're going to be like Texas, and they're going to say if you are Prop 13 is repealed for investors like me, right? And then finally, it'll be repealed for owner occupants, which will crush the state, teachers and policemen and all of that. So I think that last one is several years away. I fully expect them to crush Disneyland this year. I fully expect them to crush landlords next year. Yeah, Prop 13 is the benefits that I'm receiving are going to go away, no question. Do you ever think there would be a bad point for rentals? I have to try to understand the question behind the question. So first and foremost, I mean, I could go two different ways. First, is there ever a bad point for buying rentals? Yes. Read my book. Think 2006, 2007. A house that made sense at 107 doesn't make sense at 260. It's doesn't make sense. So you sell. Is there a point where the laws and regulation could be so obtrusive that it's tough to be a landlord? Sure, I think that's possible. Um, I don't really know what that would be, but yeah, I mean, there's always possibilities coming. But in the end, I think shelter is important. I think I think providing a service of good, clean housing is important, and I until they solve it, people don't want to live in their car. People don't want to live on the street. So I do not anticipate the the I don't know politicians coming in and making housing right and kicking. I don't see that happening. God, I hope not. I can't see it happening. There was a question that popped up. I missed most of it. I think it was if you're a young person, you live in an expensive city, what do you do? Well, I mean, you got to learn your market. You have to learn the skill of learning your market. You need to understand what a good, great deal is. Being excited about something is not enough. You need to be able to take the risk. You need to be able to build confidence in yourself. You need to know what a good or great deal is. And unless you're willing to do the work that I talk about in the course, or you can follow the free 75-day hard challenge in that playlist, you got to do the work. There's no magic inside real estate investing. The question was longer than that, so I may have missed some subtleties. And if I did, I apologize. All right, couple more. What fixes the supply issue? So as you know, I've been talking about the last 6 weeks, maybe, that our big issue in rental properties or in investing today is supply. It's ridiculously low. Well, I think there's only three things that could fix it. One is building could come back in a big force. I don't really see that happening, but it could. There'll be some locations maybe where that happens. Second, prices could keep rising where owners want to cash out. that could happen. Or the most likely is these forbearance period and unemployment finally kicks in, and people that can't pay need to list and sell their houses. I think many of these folks, the prices will rise so they can actually walk away with a little coins in their pocket. But yeah, people need to give up the ghost. They can't live. They need to go back and become renters. They need to move in with mom and dad or brother, sister, or whatever. There are plenty of owners who are not collecting a paycheck that are in forbearance that would ordinarily be sellers today. That is what I think happens. That inventory comes on the market. I do not see that inventory coming on the market before the election. We're going to run an unbalanced market the rest of the year, my opinion. Why not help first-time homebuyers? So I put out a video Tuesday or Wednesday that talked about my business model is broken because owner occupants want to buy my rentals, my pride of ownership rentals. And I got lots of interesting questions on that one. First off, I think selling to first-time homeowners is great. I actually have been on record thinking home ownership is going to go up. So I think that's good. It's just not where I choose to play. I don't need to maximize the dollars. I don't need the extra 5, 8, 10, 15K that may come from selling to owner occupants. My whole thing is to help landlords, specifically, busy tech professionals and others around the country, get their first or second rental property, right? One rental at a time is my thing. And I don't, I guess it just doesn't, I can't do everything. I don't want a company. I don't want employees. I want to do 10, 12, 15 a year. And right now I have a whole lot of fun selling to landlords. So it's my call, my choice, what I designed to do. I do think this next 6 to 9 months, I'm leaving money on the table, right? I bet you it's six figures when you add up all the units that I could sell to owner occupants. Yeah, I bet you there's six figures I'm leaving on the table because I'm not willing to change what I'm doing. Yeah, and saying that out loud makes me sound stupid, but yeah, it just what is what it is. Uh, oh, the last question. How do you make sure a good deal is not a scam? Again, what's the question behind the question, right? So the first thing I thought of when I saw this was maybe you're buying from a turnkey provider. Again, I don't know. I don't. That was the entire question. How do you make sure a good deal is not a scam? How do I know that? So I'm going to assume first that this is a turnkey provider. Well, first and foremost, you need to interview them. You need to interview their investors. You need to go see their properties. You need to go check them out without them telling you who to check out. Turnkey providers, and for that matter, syndicators, can rob you blind if you are not careful. Evaluate them first, their market second, and the deal third. When I see questions like this, I think you are looking at the deal first, the market second, and the syndicator last. Do your homework, right? Do the work. I do think if you find a good turnkey provider, if you are a busy employee, they're worth their weight in gold, especially today's lending environment. I think turnkey providers are doing good work in general. I provide turnkey solutions, so I think I do a pretty good job. But I know there have been some horror stories out there. So if you're buying turnkey or you're investing in a syndication, evaluate the provider first, market second, deal third. All right, so that's what I got. 2 pages of questions, roughly 50 minutes. Thanks for watching. If you want one of these great hats or other things that I provide, there's a link below. I create things that have stories. I have a shirt that talks about being asset rich, cash happy. That's what I want for everyone. I have a private money shirt called Cash Rich, Asset Poor. That one's fun. I got the original alligator and a new version. I love the passive income generator. That's what we all want, right? And then, of course, the hats. One rental at a time is okay. All right, everybody. Take care. I'm going to drink some coffee and talk to my students here in 10 minutes.